And like last time, as soon as Canada stands up and shows that we are not afraid, suddenly the MAGA crew start backpedaling, and maybe there's going to be a deal in the works. Maybe they're going to have something figured out. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not here to give anyone false hope, because Canadians understand that this is not a trade war we're talking about. This is a war by other means. A war of disinformation and ridicule, questioning our right to exist, our sovereignty, our borders, very much the way Vladimir Putin launched his disinformation war in the years leading up to the brutal invasion of Ukraine. It's a siege war. He's poking us and trying to see if there's divisions, if there's fear. What he's learning very quickly, and what the world is learning, is that Canadians know what is at stake, and we will not bend or break. Because Donald Trump believes we have no right as a nation, and we will always be there for our nation. But I want to compare what's happening in Canada to the dumpster fire USA. Because what we've seen in just 60 days is that Donald Trump has burned up the great American century. He's burned through his alliances with key allies. He's burned through Americans' leadership role on the international stage with his disgusting attack on President Zelensky and his willingness to put America on side with North Korea and Russia. So this is how the great American century ends. It's not with a bang or with a whimper. It's like some kind of tacky roadshow from the World Wrestling Federation. And now Donald Trump has decided to go further by blowing apart the greatest economic trade relationship in history, plunging our nation and our people into chaos. But what he's really doing is making America weaker, more divided, more alone. And we know that Canada will stand up and Canada will push back, and American jobs will suffer, and the American economy is suffering. So now the world looks to Canada and wonders, well, just who are these Canadians? Do they have what it takes to stand up to the Proud Boys in Washington? They're learning very quickly that yes, we're a nation that we like to squabble, and we like to disagree with one another, but when you come at us, we come back hard. Call it our Juno Beach gene. Canadians understand what's ahead. They know that this is going to be hard. They know that people will suffer and that there will families who will be hurt. There's no getting around that. But they also know that Canadians will stand together, just as we've always stood. I want to give a shout out this morning, and it's why I'm here, to the amazing leaders who are on the front lines defending Canada. The countless Canadians who've been reaching out to me about canceling vacations to Arizona, canceling honeymoons in South Carolina, canceling business trips and conventions in Vermont and Florida, people who've taken a personal cost. Now that might not seem like a big deal, but these are the decisions being made at kitchen tables across our nation to stand with Canada or to give in. I want to give a shout out to the mums and the grandmoms who call me from all across this nation, who tell me they take that extra time in the grocery store to make sure that nothing from the United States ends up in their grocery baskets. A big shout out to the Canadian artists who are boycotting South by Southwest in Texas this year, the biggest music festival for Canadian artists, a decision that will cost their careers, but they would rather stand up for Canada than be divided. And I want to give a special shout out to the new Canadian voices that I heard on CBC yesterday, the people, first-generation Canadians in Scarborough, who are on the lowest part of the economic rung, who they know when economic hard times come, they're going to take the first hit. And they talked about how proud they were, how they felt more unified as being Canadian than ever before. And that's the issue that I'm here to point out. Because in America right now, Donald Trump and the MAGA crew want to have a nation run by white men for white men. And they think that makes them tough. And they look on us and think we're weak because we're decent and we're democratic and we're inclusive. But that is our strength. Because we're not afraid about what pronouns someone uses. We're not angry by who someone marries. We come together across racial lines. We celebrate our linguistic diversity. We celebrate our regional diversity. We celebrate the fact that we are a settler population on the indigenous territories of this nation. And yeah, we get a lot wrong. And yeah, we're a work in progress. But when push comes to shove, we are indivisible. We stand together. We are one. It's that diversity that makes us strong. So I want to thank everybody who's been pulling their load, and to say to them, whether or not this tariff war ends tomorrow or whether Donald comes up with some bogus reason that he's scored a victory, you know what's at stake. This is just the beginning. The next 4 years will determine our future as a nation. And I know the Canadians will be strong. Because as Winston Churchill said, we will mete out for you everything that you try to throw at us, and we will go one step further. Donald, you do your worst, because Canadians will do their best. We are true, north, strong, free, and it's elbows up time. Ladies and gentlemen, Canada will never bend. We will never kiss the gangster's ring.